Hi guys, welcome to the second episode of Exposing Fall Feminism. I am joined by Cece, and the first episode was her talking about her topic. Now it's going to transition to me, and she'll share her takeaways at the end of our podcast today. So in today's podcast, I'll be using makeup as a vehicle for analyzing feminism and social media, and specifically, I will be analyzing this TikTok video that I'll show you guys right now. Okay, so here's the video that I'm going to ask Cece to watch.
I'm against makeup. I don't think it's good for women, and I don't think they really need to be using it, honestly. I think it takes away.
That's awesome.
Makeup it's capitalizing on women's insecurities when it's something that they can easily fix. I think it takes away from a woman's natural beauty, and also, it is so bad for you. Like, you think about how skin absorbs things. When you read the ingredients on a foundation bottle, what is in it? You can't even pronounce it. It's a bunch of crap that you're putting on your face. And that is in turn making your skin worse. So you have to keep buying more foundation to cover up what it's creating. I don't like makeup.
Okay, so we're just gonna look at some of the comments really quick. You can see, first one, Blonde was about to explode at Andrea Tate. Pick me, choose me, love me, Andrea Tate, Andrea Tate, Andrea Tate. I don't like makeup, but I like hair dye. Pick me, choose me, or love me, choose me. Pick me, choose me, love me, Andrea Tate. Blondie girl's a mood. Again, pick me, comment, Andrea Tate, Andrea Tate, Andrea Tate. Oh, grow up. Pick me again, Andrea Tate. That girl rolling her eyes is me. She lives the boring life, Andrea Tate. Another pick me, choose me, love me. So many of those, and you just see like the repetition of those kind of comments. So what are your thoughts after seeing that?
Her rolling her eyes was like kind of crazy. She was not having it, and also like you can notice that it probably was not as dramatic as they were making it out to seem in the podcast,
for sure.
Because the music and the audio is like so dramatic, and then they're like cutting to her being so angry, or like all the girls are like, are you joking right now? It's not that, like, if you were to imagine and like being in that setting, it is not that serious.
No,
and she probably meant to say it in a better way. Maybe some of her vocabulary was not the best. Like, her choice of vocab was not the best, but she had an argument, she wanted to discuss it, and I guess it was just not received properly, and she didn't communicate that properly.
Yeah, thanks for sharing your insights. So that is a hint into what I'll be talking about. She kind of touches on some of the points I'll be making, but a little more background context on this specific TikTok video. So it went really viral last year on TikTok. Her controversial opinion stirred up like massive backlash on the TikTok platform, generating over 35 million views and more than 100,000 comments on the video. And as you can see from the comments, right, the widespread consensus is that the woman in the video, the statements, her opinions are completely false. But what if the consensus is wrong, right? We'll start with analyzing the actual point at hand. Lots of people seem to just bandwagon on hate without actually listening to the woman's perspective, what she thinks, right? Although not all of her points are accurate, right? Her critique of the commodification of makeup especially is valid and worthwhile to discuss as a piece of feminism, right? She justifies her hate and dislike of makeup by arguing that makeup feeds into the consumerist aspects of feminism, which is very true. If we borrow the concept of neoliberal feminism, which was first coined by Catherine Rottenberg, which she defines as a shift where women are more focused on taking full responsibility for their own well-being and care, ultimately converting gender inequality from a structural problem into an individual affair. So if we extend this theory to makeup, we see that makeup is constantly marketed as a necessary lifestyle choice, right? And people now, because they always feel like they have to put on makeup, they think that they have to better themselves through looking better, through applying makeup, and this gives rise to the popularization and increased circulation of feminine beauty and self-care products. The problem is that this leads to more and more pressure for women to put on makeup, to feed into that industry, and that really pressures them to feed into that consumerist culture of the beauty industry just to conform to such beauty standards and ideals. And the cycle is really, really self-perpetuating, right? Since there's no end to really bettering yourself, right? Once you put on foundation, you have to put on contour, and then after contour you have to put on lipstick, then you have to put on blush, and then you have to do skincare, right? It's never ending. And so since there's no end to like bettering oneself, women can never get enough like beauty products. They have to keep feeding and feeding, and so it becomes like this self-perpetuating loop where they constantly continue to be capitalized upon their pursuit of perfection and of like womanly beauty. So there's clearly some logic there. And as you can see, none of the comments really address or like acknowledge that her point regarding at least this is valid. They just go on saying, hey, no, Andrea Tate. And so despite the logic behind her argument, we see that the narrative faces significant backlash, right? And like Cece mentioned, this is largely fueled by the intentional editing of the video. If we look at it, the video itself is like edited in a way to intentionally manipulate viewers into thinking, hey, this woman's opinion is wrong. And how is that? So I'll be talking about popular feminism. This is a theorem that was coined by Sarah Benet Weiser in her book Empowered, Popular Feminism and Popular Misogyny. She describes popular feminism as this feminist rhetoric where mainstream media is catered to being visible, to being accessible, to being controversial. And this concept holds especially true for TikTok videos. If you think about like YouTube videos, you have like 15 minutes to really get into it, to digest the content. But for TikTok videos, they only last like 15 seconds, 30 seconds, right? They're very short. And so to hold your attention span, to hold the audience's attention span, they have to like grab your attention in the first 5 seconds, or else the next person will just scroll on to the next video. So what this video is really doing to cater to like the visibility and accessibility associated with popular feminism is that they purposefully edit the video to be really controversial. It cuts to moments where like the blonde woman in the video is like rolling her eyes at the narrator, right? Or they gape at the narrator, like mouth open, they shake their head in disapproval, right? And then it also cuts to the point where the man like kind of laughs approvingly at the woman, and then he also says like, oh, that's awesome, right? And so taken together, these clips like really carefully construct the narrative that the narrator is only criticizing makeup just to receive male validation. Like, she doesn't care. She only wants the males in the video to like laugh approvingly at her, or like, you know, like approve her point. And so that really compels viewers to support and align with the supposed like feminist side by commenting demeaning insults against the narrator. And that is what contributes to that backlash. That backlash, though, even though it is explained by the manipulation, it's really, really rooted in internalized misogyny, right? They immediately distrust what she's saying. They minimize what she's saying, and they degrade her as an individual. In the comment section, we saw that they say, oh, like, you're trying to be not like other girls. She's giving, like, pick me, choose me, love me energy. And even though there are some validity to her comments, like, yes, perhaps she did want some approval, but to judge her with, like, the speed and the quickness and the swiftness that they did, it feels like they, again, didn't really listen to what she was really trying to say, right? They just immediately, like, distrust her words and devalued her. And in a study conducted by researchers, it's called Internalized Misogyny as a Moderator of the Link Between Sexist Events and Women's Psychological Distress, we see that, like, this innate distrust of women and the valuing of women is what really, like, defines internalized misogyny. And the comments really demonstrate these, unfortunately, right? By nicknaming the narrator like Andrea Tate, you're alluding and aligning her to this rapist, this sexual offender, right? That's not okay, first of all, but it's also not conducive to feminism at all. Again, you're just hating to hate. So honestly, these comments just really show that these women are projecting their own like hate for women to the narrator in the video. And ironically, it's just, how can you accuse someone of, you know, having internalized misogyny when you're the one perpetuating yourself through these comments? So we see that happening, and they're just really reductionist as a whole. And we also see that it leads to a really binary way of thinking about makeup that lacks nuance, right? No one says, okay, she's right, and even though she's right, she may be wrong, but she is right in some aspects. No, they just immediately say, no, she's wrong. Or like, hey, I don't use makeup. I only do it for myself, right? I'm not insecure. It's nice to treat myself, right? They're seemingly able to do makeup for themselves and say that, oh, like, I don't care about societal standards, right? Like, you're wrong. Like, we don't just do makeup because we feel secure. And so when we see that, it feels like women are really trying to mask this prevalence of like beauty standards. They're trying to mask that there is a deeper problem of like the expectation for women to look good all the time, right? Because in reality, women do put makeup to feel prettier, right? To hide the blemishes on their face and to comply with society's expectations for women to look good. But by saying that, oh, I only do it for myself, and like, no, like, I never do it for other people, right? It becomes like this sort of binary thinking where people just ignore the fact that like our society is inherently built upon like patriarchal systems, such as like beauty standards and beauty privilege. It is totally understandable for people to want to take advantage of such systems if they have the power to do so. But when you mask the existence of this phenomenon by just claiming like, oh, I only do it for myself, right? You're unconsciously shaping yourself to be a better like capitalistic subject because you're masking it. You may inherently like not be conscious that you're doing so. And so you're feeding again more into that like consumerist and capitalistic feature of the beauty industry. But really, I think the take-home point that I saw from this video is that the dismissal of like these societal systems like not only transforms makeup into like a source of oppression rather than empowerment, but we see that it really generates a feedback loop that diminishes all and like any feminist intent behind the narrative's original critique of makeup, right? Makeup can be empowering and it can like let people feel more confident in themselves, and like it can be pleasurable, but can also not be as well. We shouldn't deem it as like mutually exclusive. It's either for me or like for other people. Like, no, it can be for you and for other people as well. And so it's ultimately how we interact and utilize makeup that determines whether makeup serves as a form of liberation or a form of oppression, right? In this case, unfortunately, makeup really serves as a catalyst for, I think, anti-feminist undertones in this video, right? The video itself lacks a feminist perspective because it purposefully manipulates its audience to believe that the narrator is being like anti-feminist and pits them against the narrator. But at the same time, we see that the commenters themselves are also not really giving a feminist response at all. They're hating again just to hate. Their hate comments perpetuate misogyny, and they dismiss like underlying social realities, that there is a societal emphasis on beauty, that makeup is used as a tool to enhance it, and that there is an ongoing pressure to conform to such beauty standards. And so we see that popular feminism engages in this feedback loop where the more visible it is, the more people that watch this TikTok video, the more hate it gets. And then the more hate it gets, the more this TikTok video becomes like shown either on like the For You page or it's like sent to other friends and people. And so this leads to just more people criticizing her until it turns into one like massive hate train against the narrator. So unfortunately, we see that the hate ends up eclipsing the legitimate issues and concerns regarding makeup that the narrator had in the first place, and this just drowns out all feminist aspect of the video along with diluting the empowering aspects of using makeup as well. So in this case, like, even though the video could have been made, or at least the narrator in the video could have had like feminist intentions when they're criticizing makeup, but all of the hate, all of the backlash, all of the derogatory insults towards the narrator drowns out whatever feminist aspects there could have been and turns it into a very toxic anti-feminist platform instead. And it really sucks to see this, but this is true not just for this TikTok, but ultimately the reactive mechanisms of like online feminism writ large, demonstrating that like these feedback loops have the potential to overshadow and distort the initial feminist arguments presented in media. That was also a lot. So what are your thoughts? What are your takeaways?
Okay, I think it just like relates to my argument as well, because like the way TikTok, I guess, works itself just continues to push things that wasn't like, it wasn't the original intention, but it continues to push it, and then at some point the original intention is just lost because now there's things like stitches, and then you can just screen record, and so everything, like the original intention just somewhere gets lost, and then you have to just like go into TikTok, be like, oh, random topic, original video, and then you see like you try to unravel and backtrack to where it really was, but that's only if you like as a user put in the effort to find such like original video or original like content. And I think just the way TikTok works, and I think they acknowledge it too. They acknowledge it, but they don't fix anything about it, because that's what makes TikTok successful. Mm-hmm. The audios, the captions, everything that makes a TikTok is also why they're not going to change anything. Yeah. Like, for my topic, like, you're not allowed to search like hashtag ED, but then you just change like a letter, or you add another random letter, and then boom, all of these random like videos about like eating disorders comes up, and now it just is a toxic environment. I feel like you can do the same with like makeup.
Yeah, for sure. When you talked about like the originals, the stitches, that really reminded me of how this video in particular started a trend where makeup artists would purposefully put on makeup while having the video's audio in the background, basically like mocking the narrator's like opinion in the process. And this trend amassed over like 15,000 videos, right? But like the hate comments, they aren't genuinely promoting feminism. They're just showing like a more widespread phenomena of like internalized misogyny. So definitely true what you said. And it really sucks that this is what a lot of, I think, popular feminism, online feminism has come to. Like, it is not perpetuating genuine feminism, rather it perpetuates a platform of like hate and anti-feminism instead.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for watching the second episode, and hope to see you in the third one.
You guys will be joined by Danica and Alejandra, and please enjoy.
Yeah. Bye.